Why was a statue of Martin Luther erected in the Vatican last year? It was to participate in the commemorations of a historical event, 500 years of the Lutheran Reformation. And this year, Lutherans and Protestants of all denominations celebrate in Germany and elsewhere the historical beginning of their churches. But this is not the first time that Luther is celebrated in Germany. Adolf Hitler established October 31st as a national holiday to officially celebrate Luther's revolution against the Church of Rome. Hitler and Luther had many things in common, especially their hatred of both Catholics and Jews. You know, anti-Catholicism and anti-Semitism go hand in hand. But the fact is that Christendom was never the same after Luther. Because of his Reformation, today, instead of having one Lord, one faith, and one baptism, Ephesians 4:5, in the one Church of God, the pillar and mainstay of the truth, 1 Timothy 3:15, Christians today have thousands upon thousands of churches, denominations, sects, affiliations, missions, movements, etc., etc., a myriad of different groups of people, everyone claiming to be fully Christian, even though there are visceral contradictions among their creeds and their moral codes. Another historical fact that is less known is that Luther's new doctrines were thoroughly refuted in chapter and in verse in his own lifetime by a very unique theologian, not a pope, not a bishop, not a priest, but a well-educated layman who crushed Luther's new doctrines about the sacraments of the Church. And who was that scholarly layman? None other than King Henry VIII, who later founded the Church of England. This is the greatest irony in Christian history, when the king who founded the Anglican Church was a great defender of the Catholic Church against Lutheranism. With the help of St. Thomas More, he wrote the book titled Defense of the Seven Sacraments against Martin Luther. And he joined a remarkable knowledge of sacred scripture, theology, history, the early church fathers, to an iron logic and a delightful wit, to reduce Martin Luther to zero. Luther could not properly respond except with personal insults, as he was wont to do to those who disagreed with him. Now, in his book, Henry VIII defends the papacy. Oh yes, he defends the papacy. Indulgences for the souls in purgatory, Jesus' real presence in the Eucharist, the Mass as a true sacrifice, the confirmation sacrament of confession of sins to a priest, the holy orders, everything that is defended by the Catholic Catechism today. And the Pope of the time was Leo X, gave him the title Defender of the Faith. It was a glory to Christian England. But unfortunately, Henry VIII fell prey to the allurements of a courtesan, Anne Boleyn, and to marry her, he made himself the head of the church in England. The new English church gave him a divorce, and he married Anne Boleyn. The Church of England was founded. The Bishops' Conference of England, except one bishop, St. John Fisher, followed the king in his schism. It was a historical act of episcopal collegiality when the bishops left the church together. After that, the great bulk of Henry VIII practically disappeared in history. Of course, it became an indictment against both the Church of England and even the Crown, because in the book, Henry VIII, the founder of the Church of England, fiercely defended Roman Catholicism. The famous Cardinal James Gibbons of Baltimore compared Henry VIII to a doctor of the church. Such was his sound erudition and orthodoxy in writing the book. The new millennium edition of this unique royal book of Catholic apologetics is now available to anyone interested in promoting the authentic reunification of Christians in the new evangelization. This edition was dedicated to the Queen of England, Her Majesty Elizabeth II, as a fraternal reminder of the beautiful union of faith that existed between England and Rome for well over 1,000 years. A copy of the book was sent to Buckingham Palace, as a gift to Her Majesty, and the editor, yours truly, drew her attention to the de-Christianization of Europe and its consequent Islamization, and the necessity to call all baptized Christians in Europe to reunite once again under one Lord, one faith, one baptism, Ephesians 4:5, in the one Church of God, the pillar and mainstay of the truth, 1 Timothy 3:15. Lest Europe, the cradle of Christian civilization, will plunge into a dreadful twilight under the paganism of Islam. The Queen's secretary kindly sent me a letter thanking for the gift in the name of Her Majesty, pointing out that a careful note had been taken of my comments expressing my concerns for the future of Christianity in Europe. Today, once again, there is great confusion about the sacraments among Catholics, especially marriage, the Eucharist, and confession. And this confusion has been enhanced by the ambiguities of Amoris Laetitia. Clarity of teaching on the 7 sacraments is necessary, and believe it or not, you will find it crystal clear in the book of King Henry VIII. Poetic irony in history, when Roman Catholicism is fiercely defended by the founder of the Church of England. I recommend to Catholic seminarians and Catholic priests, as well as ministers of any non-Catholic denomination, to read this book. You have a great time reading it. In spite of the current crisis in the Catholic Church today, it is time to say, Lutherans, Anglicans, Protestants, come home to Rome. Now, my friends, if this story piques your curiosity to know more about this incredible historical irony, when the founder of the Church of England strongly defended Roman Catholicism, order your copy of the New Millennium Edition today while stock lasts. Thank you for your attention. I'm Raymond de Souza, and God bless you.